Hi, and welcome to the Transform Your Wellness podcast. I am Karin Hagberg, and I'm a coach who helps people transform their wellness and life and help them create more balance, ultimate wellness, and a life they love. The Transform Your Wellness podcast is heartfelt conversations with incredible people who have been contributing and following their passion and soul purpose. It's conversations with people who have not only transformed their own life, but also contribute to the world by helping others transform as well. And today I have the pleasure to introduce you to a lovely lady called Rosa Sharon. And Rosa Sharon is not just an amazing human being with a heart of gold. She's also a spiritual counselor, a medium, and have had to endure many challenges herself in her life. And she's a person that keeps shining her light wherever she goes and follows her true soul purpose in life, even though it can be challenging at times. And I met you, Rose, a few years ago now, and we actually met at a Psychic and Wellbeing Expo, didn't we?
Yes, we did. Yeah.
Yeah, and we so for some reason I was just drawn towards you, and that then eventuated in you coming down to do some readings at Aspire Wellbeing in Torquay, my wellbeing centre there, and I got to know you as a person and as a friend ever since. And yeah, we've developed a lovely friendship. And I have also, since I met you, become really interested in finding out how it is to be a medium. So the topic today is life as a medium. And I believe, Rose, this podcast episode is going to be very, very popular because there are so many people that are kind of interested in having readings. That it's kind of a little bit mystic to we don't quite understand how is it to be a medium and how do you work, and so what we're going to do today through our conversation is to kind of delve into that topic of how it is to have those special gifts. So welcome again, Rose. So can you introduce yourself a little bit to us here and all the listeners?
Yes. Thanks, Karen. Thank you for having me, and blessings, everyone. So my life as a medium is there's never a dull moment. So you've got what's termed as normal waking consciousness. So I'm going to talk to you. So my background is counselling, but I've had my gift all my life. So I'm going to, and I never say. I'm very careful to not give my opinion. I only say what I know through my studies and through what my angels have shown me. And so, yeah, my life is never boring because there's what I call the mundane, which is chop wood, carry water, do your normal everythings. But in between all that, I have this amazing, wonderful world where I'm very connected with all that is. And I'm going to say blessed to find magic in every moment, and especially connecting with nature. And when I meet my clients that I feel very blessed to meet, I like to offer them a different perspective from what they're currently experiencing by showing them, because spirit shows me whatever I need to tell them. It's never about me, it's about what I can give. Spirit shows me what I need to say. So that spirit will show me why this person is experiencing whatever they're going through, where the growth is, or what's missing. And then this opens a box of, infinite opportunities. And so I feel very blessed to people who are drawn to me.
Yeah. So when someone comes to see you, when you say your angels kind of are talking to you. How can you describe that a little bit more, Rose? Because someone like myself go, yes, I know I've got intuition and I understand and I get. I would say too, I've got angels or my spirit guides or my spirit is talking to me, but I've never kind of like, I would like to hear from you how that is sort of plays out to you or how you kind of get those messages. Does it come to you in a feeling? Does it come to you that you see something? Does it come to you in that you hear something? Can you explain how you kind of tune into that?
Well, I want to begin by saying that we all have our angels and guides and our spiritual teachers and ancestors that travel with us. We all have that. And we all have the gift of intuition. But everybody's perspective is different. And so for me, it's very natural to me having a conversation with you or having a conversation with my angel, my archangel. There's no difference.
Yeah.
So it's sometimes it's a feeling or a thought. Sometimes I'll get a vision. Sometimes it'll be a knowing. But perhaps the difference may be that I'm in tune to what's happening and other people may dismiss it, go, oh, but that's just my imagination.
Yes.
Or, that's just wishful thinking. And they're not in tune with the messages that they're receiving.
Yeah. Yeah. Because
sorry.
I was going to say we all get those messages, but it's if we decide to trust them or not.
Yeah.
That's the difference, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, perception is everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I just want to say to anyone out there who's listening to this, who feels alone or abandoned, if you could see what I see, you would know we're never alone. And the angels are here and they're here to help us. But we need to ask. They can't step in and help us if we don't say, please help me understand or help me go through this challenge or, show me the next step is my favorite line to give people, to empower them to move forward. But you need to ask. If you don't ask, reality is the same.
Yeah, and I've actually myself often when I've gone through really challenging times, I definitely ask my angels, and I have a sense when I'm really kind of, I've had some moments where I've gone, wow, I've really, really felt that there's been angels around me. I can remember a few times, actually, one really profound time. And I can also remember it was quite interesting. I was doing another, it was in one of those wellbeing psychic expos, and I was talking to people a lot at that expo, and there was a psychic lady next to me, and she was kind of looking over, and when it was a little bit quieter for me, she came over and we started talking, and talking about angels, and she said, you have so many angels around you. And I was like, wow. And she said, Karin, just trust. Just do this for the rest of the day and let's see what happens. And I can just so remember that I just started trusting, and all these people just came. It was just busy, and I trusted my intuition. She said, Karin, you got it. Just trust your intuition. And as I started talking to people, I basically, maybe like you do, Rose, I just trusted my intuition, and I started sensing things. And I remember this lady, she looked over at me and she was just smiling, and she could see, wow, it's just, it was just one of those interesting moments. So, and that took me on a bit of a a journey of exploring and trying to understand a little bit more of how to function and be more in tune with my intuition. Saying that, though, Rose, I know that you have a very special gift and really can connect with. Sometimes there's, like when you go and when someone comes and sees you, there's perhaps a passed over relative that you can connect to or something like that. So that's, as I understand, that's mediumship. Am I correct?
That's mediumship.
Yeah.
Mediumship is speaking to people from the other world, in spirit world. Yeah.
Yeah. And does that often happen when you see people?
Yes. Now, first thing I want to say is it's irrelevant whether you believe or not. It's irrelevant, right? And if you don't believe, that's fine. But I suggest just open your mind to what may be possible. And the way to experience intuition is to quieten your mind. And the easiest way to quieten your mind is to use the breath.
Yeah.
And now, when it comes to mediumship, it's not our perception in this world that there is something more. Society, or the way we work on the earth plane, is that we live and we die and that's it. We may, if we religious beliefs may say there is an afterlife, but what actually is it? And it's not an experience. And unfortunately, our mind can only comprehend what it knows. So if you're not open to seeing different things, you actually can't experience them.
Yeah.
And so what happens is when we die, now I'm telling you this from my experience. I was born with this gift. I haven't seen it once. You may say you've seen it once and, that's good. You see it twice, or maybe there's something there 3 times. It's a fluke. But I have seen it repeated many, many times. I've read for millions of people. That's not an exaggeration, because I've been reading for about 20 years publicly. That means not hiding and reading for my friends, but in the public eye. And if you see the same thing again and again and again, that establishes itself as a truth. And so there's all different, I'll just keep it very simple. There's all different planes of existence, but your loved ones are always, always with you. And how do they talk to you? Well, every time you hear their favorite song, that's them, right? Every time you think about your loved ones, they are standing right beside you. You might feel them and you go, oh, no, that's just because I'm grieving or because I want them. Actually, it's a fact. But because it's not our reality or normal reality, we dismiss it. And so, and what happens is they stand closer and further away. And if someone comes to me for a reading and a loved one wants to speak to them, right, they will come and they will show me. Now, I can't just say to someone, oh, I've got your mother here. Well, what does that mean? When I read, they need to give proof of survival, of how can I say to the person before me, this is your mum and this is what's happened, this is because, so that they know I'm not making it up and giving some generic general message. I'm delivering a message from spirit, and it's accurate, and it may not have a name, but it'll have things like their favorite thing. And they usually come with food, because there's no food in heaven.
Is that right?
They'll often show me their favorite food. I'll taste it, and I can tell them whoever used to love this, or and I'll say, because there's no alcohol, they'll say, oh my God, can you just tell them I want this drink? And they'll describe this drink.
Oh, that's too funny.
Yeah. Can I tell you of a really special story about a loved one that crossed,
Ah,
about someone grieving? Is it okay to
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
So this young woman came to see me, and her fiance had died in a car crash. It was like instant, right? And she was grieving. She couldn't stop crying. The psychiatrist told her she was mad, and she just came to me. She was at her wit's end, and she's just sitting in front of me, crying, trembling. And I said to her, "Your fiance's behind you." And she just looked at me and she just froze. And she was waiting for me to say the next thing. And I said to her, "You feel like you're going mad." And she burst into tears. And I said to her, "That's because he's caressing your face. You can feel he's touching your hair. And sometimes he's hugging you. You can feel this like it's real." And she burst into tears. And she goes, "Yes." And she said to me, "I feel like I'm going insane." I go, "You're not going insane. What you're feeling is real."
Mm,
And he can't leave this earth plane till you come to some balance. And he's trying to comfort you in your sorrow, but also to tell you that love's eternal. There's no beginning, no end to love.
mm,
And he's right with you.
mm,
I'll never forget that. I don't know why she had such a profound effect, but that me, I can remember it clear as a bell. And that
mm,
was, probably 15 years ago, as clear as a bell. And I know it changed her life. I know.
mm, mm,
Just to have that validation that it's real.
mm, mm,
Um, and there's other people that I've helped as well. And it's because of all this information that I see and that was given to me that I actually studied to be a counsellor, so that apart from my gift, I could actually professionally hold space for
mm,
what was happened and to give really solid guidance, not just tell them what's happening and what I see, but to help them understand how their mind processes, what they're feeling, the embodiment of it. And that's why I've studied and continue to study to give the best of me to people.
mm. And I mean, people that tend to want to go and see someone for reading, usually it is because we are seeking for something, or there's something that's happening in life that we want some clarity or help with. Isn't that so true? That's my experience anyway, when I've had people coming to Aspire Wellbeing and they're really searching for something, or they want that validation, or perhaps I guess I kind of feel, Rose, that it's so lovely to know that there's no end and there's no beginning. To me, that just makes life so special.
It's so special.
It is so special. And the thing is too, as us as human beings, we I think if we can just kind of really surrender into that and just realize that people don't disappear. Like, I mean, the human body, of
The
course,
body.
but the spirit is around, and we can tap into that. And also that thing with, sometimes I find that if a person grieves too much, I mean, it's more about us more
Mm.
than about them, isn't
Mm.
it?
Yeah.
Because it's kind of like, I mean, if I was a person that had passed, I wouldn't want my children or anyone to destroy their life by grieving. I would love for them to just continue living, knowing that, I'm there around them and I can see them living and having the best life.
Yeah.
But of course, that's not always so easy. We are emotional beings, aren't we? And of course, it's hard when we lose our closed ones, isn't it? I mean, it's always going to strike us, isn't it? That grief.
I call that our humanness.
Yeah.
I call that our humanness. And like, I know all this thing, I live this reality. But when my father died, I was beside myself in grief. And grief is a journey, and it takes time. But my dad used to come to me. One of the first things my father said to me was, "Hey, you," because that's how he used to talk to me. "Hey, you." He goes, "I never believed you. I never believed you. I always thought you were a phony or a witch." And he goes, "Oh, I'm sorry." He goes, "Now I see. Now I
that,
see."
that is too funny.
It's
I love
funny.
that.
But like Dad's around now. Talk to him. Of course, I miss my dad.
Yeah.
Like, I would do anything to hear him yell at me, because my dad used to yell at me a lot. "Oh, where are you, Dad?" But he used to help me a lot, like rake the garden and things I took for granted. Yeah. And I want to say to people, if you've lost a loved one and you had an argument with them before they died, or you never got along on this earth plane, it does not matter, because in the realm that we go to after here, there's only love. There's no fighting. They never come with judgment. They never come with anger. And that's because they have the perception in that realm. They can see everything. They can't see just what we see. We just see one little blink of our life. They see past, present, future. So they don't come with judgment. They understand why things happen in that realm. So they're never going to come to you angry. They're going to come to you with love.
Yeah.
And people might question, "Oh, well, what about ghosts and poltergeists and things like that?" But that's a spirit that needs healing, that is at unrest,
Yeah.
and that they cannot physically hurt us. Even though there's these horror movies,
Okay.
it's our thoughts. It's our thoughts and our perceptions that will hurt us.
Okay.
Spirit can't hurt us.
Okay. So,
Spirit comes from love.
Rose, I'm a little bit curious about when we talk about ghosts or whatever. And as my understanding was that, or I read somewhere at some point that sometimes when someone dies very quickly, we'll say in a airplane crash or something like that, and their spirit hasn't got time to kind of transition or get used, they get lost in this space. Can you explain that? Am I right when I'm saying that they perhaps need some help with transitioning into the new?
Yeah. So the body dies.
Yeah.
But the soul is shocked.
Yeah.
And it can't ascend because it hasn't come to the realization of what's happened. This is also important to understand for suicide, this is part of why I did my formal learning.
Yeah.
Because what happens to the person who is so desperate that has committed this is they keep reliving their last 24 hours, right?
Okay.
Until they understand what it is that they need to heal so that they can move. Same with an illness, a shocking death, a murder, right? That needs to be healed before they can leave this plane.
So what about like those spirits that, I mean, if a close one to them doesn't go and see someone like yourself, how can that spirit get some help to kind of transition or get that peace?
But they always find a way, someone to communicate with for them.
Okay.
I want to say to, I don't know if you know this, Karin, but part of my work is doing clearings on houses that don't sell. I don't know if you know that. So I've worked for real estate agents before, and the spirits that are trapped in that house Now, sometimes it's an energy thing. Need to
Mm,
be clear. Sometimes it's a spirit.
mm,
Is because, for example, a mum may have lost her child and she's still looking for that child. That spirit hasn't understood what's happened,
mm,
and they call me, and then I can help them, send them on, right? For spirit that is upset or angry, they're only missing love. In the darkest of dark, there's always that point of light.
mm,
We're all light, whether you believe it or not. Even the most horrific crimes that are committed from someone's pain,
mm,
not because their soul's not beautiful. Everyone's soul's beautiful.
mm,
It's to remember our light, to
mm,
carry our light. That's all. That's the only difference. And so these spirit or beings just need someone to help them.
mm,
And you may not need like a medium, someone like me, but your prayers can help them. So this, someone's listening.
mm,
And if you're having nightmares about your loved ones, right? If you're having nightmares, if you're restless, if you're worried, if you can't stop crying, they have not crossed. They are still in this realm and they need your permission.
mm,
Like when we die, that you can't just leave. They need your permission
mm.
to go. And so
Yeah.
they're here and for a period of time till the grieving comes into balance. And all you have to do is say your prayers. If you don't pray, light a candle for them. If you don't like candles, don't believe in all that, just send them love from your heart to say, it's okay.
Mm, mm,
It's okay.
mm.
And you'll find a beautiful peace that comes upon you. That's when they've passed. You'll know.
Yeah. Isn't that, I think life in general, Rose, I mean, we're born here and as a human being, we often kind of hang on to so much pain.
Yeah.
And I think if we can master that as human beings to learn ways to kind of let go of the pain that is in the past, that doesn't even exist in the now,
Yeah.
I kind of see that as our kind of purpose in life in many ways.
Yeah.
Uh, if we can master that and be at peace within, in just in the present moment, how wonderful is that feeling?
But the problem with that is we have so much attachment. We have
Yeah.
a lot of attachment for how things should be, could be. Like my partner should love me like this. My kids should act like that. By now, my life should be. Why has this happened?
Mm,
And I want to say to you, this is actually programming. The
mm,
mind always sees negative first.
yeah.
And if you want to experience an alternative reality, you
Mm,
need to be so aware
mm,
of your thoughts
yeah.
and your choices
Yeah.
and respond and not react. But
Yeah.
we're not taught that. Like
No.
we go to school and we're taught to read and write and you need to do this and that and achieve this and that. And like social media puts a lot of pressure on how we should be and look and feel and have. And we're always supposed to be entrepreneurs and millionaires. And then I look at like the average person and go, hey, you're really cool because you're you.
Yeah, exactly.
Then
I
I look,
think if we can fully accept ourselves for who we are, like absolutely step into fully and embrace that so much,
yeah,
that self love
yeah,
completely, and not worry about, being anything but, I
but,
think the people who master that,
yeah, yeah,
they probably are. I mean, I would say I would probably define success as that, to be honest, Rose, that if I can be uh, fully accepting of myself
yeah,
and step into my authentic truth,
yeah,
that to me, I think if we can do that, we are really embracing ourselves. And funnily enough, your business is called Embracing It All.
Yes.
Yeah.
But a society doesn't allow that. That's why I call it embracing it all, because you know what? It's all right to be angry. Angry's telling you something needs to change. And people go, oh, no, I'm a bad person if I'm angry. That's not correct.
Yeah.
That's not correct. Oh, and people go, oh, just get over it. Well, no, you can't just get over things, because it's a process.
It is a process. And
it's a process.
yeah.
And but society doesn't give us permission to find our extraordinary gifts in being ordinary. It doesn't allow that. And people often go to me, oh, I want to be a healer, and I want to be a reader. But what does that mean? Yes, you can do it publicly like me, but you can be the greatest healer by knowing your truth and sharing joy with people around you and loving people and not judging. That makes you an amazing healer. Oh, hang on, that's not recognized. But who said that?
Yeah. No, it's really interesting. And I hear, because obviously, you know, I coach people, and I mean, that's all working with their mindset. But once you delve into what people really want, once they tap into that real, what is it, what I really, really want, once you can get them into a place where they acknowledge that something they say they perhaps wanted to is not at all what their heart's desires actually, or you know, they kind of, that's kind of programmed a little bit in, as you say, social media, perhaps from their parents, perhaps from their upbringing, that, you know, or they've got this idea in their head that to be a healer or to be this kind of entrepreneur or whatever, that's really good. And I'm going to be looked at in a, you know, whatever way, but that's not really their sole purpose, you know? So discovering one's gifts, you know, that I see it as, if that takes me 70, 80, 90 years to discover that, it really doesn't matter, as long as eventually we discover it and we embrace that.
Yeah. And I think when people think about, you know, like, what are my gifts, I would say to you, it's whatever brings you joy. And we're all unique.
Yeah.
And we all have a gift to offer. And especially at this time in Earth's history, Earth is going through rebirth. That's why there's chaos in our world. It's not bad. Is it challenging? Yes. Well, but giving birth is challenging. Any mum out there would know. Giving birth is challenging, but it's transition. Our world needs to change to rise up to the magnificence that we're capable of having utopia here on Earth. And can we achieve it? Of course we can. It just takes a massive shift in consciousness. And these talks are part of that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a topic for another time, I think, Rose. What is going on in the world right now? We might have to set another time for that, because that is really fascinating. I would actually love to have a conversation with you about that. But I want to ask you a little bit more about how your journey started, Rose. When you discovered, how was it when you were a little girl and you discovered that, you know, you were perhaps a little bit different to others? Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, you only know what you know. And it's been my life's journey to discover who I truly am. So I was born with the gift of mediumship, which means I could see people that had crossed. I could see my life, what was happening around me. It was really hard to understand. I just thought it was one, because I grew up like that, right? As I grew older, I started to notice I was different. And my mum, God bless her, would go, because I'd say to my mum, oh, Mum, I can see, I can hear, like this is real, like it's over there. And she didn't know what to do with me. And when I was growing up, it wasn't like now you switch on the television and mediums everywhere. Mediumship wasn't understood. It wasn't spoken about. It was taboo, right? And especially in my background, I'm Italian. So everything's, about malocchio, which is the evil eye or a spell. And my poor mother, beside herself, she'd take me 1 week to the psychiatrist. The next week or, next few weeks, I'd be with someone taking away the evil eye or the spell. So I grew up very confused, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
But my mum never gave up on me because the psychiatrist actually told her, you need to lock her up and throw away the key.
Oh my goodness.
But she never took me to the psychiatrist after that, which was my blessing, really, because my life, I know a lot of people my age and older who have been in institutions and had horrific things happen to them.
And I've been pondering, sorry, Rose, about this because I've come across a few people myself that have been, for example, the doctors said that they are schizophrenic, for example.
Yeah.
And my intuition tells me, this is just my intuition, that I actually believe that they have some kind of connection with perhaps the spirit world in some way, which perhaps confuses them and confuses other people around them, and they're labeled as complete, Can you tell us a little bit? Because I think that kind of, having mental kind of conditions in some ways can perhaps be confused a little bit with connecting with the spiritual world.
Of course, and this is why my studies, and one of my studies I'm currently doing is mental health.
Yeah.
I already have a lot of studies around psychosis, but I wanted to do extra studies into mental health because the line between psychosis and psychic is a very fine line. And
wow.
for anyone, it is such a fine line. You can easily go and step the wrong way. And I want to say to people, please, please, please do not rush your spiritual development. Allow it to come to you. There's so much stuff that we have access to now because of social media, like awakening of the third eye, a kundalini experience, all these things, let's do ayahuasca because ayahuasca takes you to that altered state.
Yeah.
If you or your body, your nervous system cannot handle that initiation, you will go into psychosis. And I don't want you to go down that rabbit hole. I just want you to go slow. And if anyone out there is listening to this, is not feeling mentally stable, I would say to you, go and ground, which means go and put your bare feet on the grass. On the grass, on wet grass, because that will bring you straight here. Now, people with schizophrenia, in my experience, from what I've learned, like cognitive, but also what I've seen, right? Their experience is real. So who's to say what's real is not real?
That's right.
But you need to balance that experience with what's considered normal waking consciousness.
Yeah.
So you always need to find your balance. But it can be hard to find balance when you don't have clarity because all your mind's messed up. And then you get all these labels put on you, which make it even more difficult. And I want to say anything that ends in a D is actually an R. So like, for example, OCD, right? Disorder.
Okay.
is not OCD disorder. It is not a disorder. OCD, obsessive compulsive, is a response to a trauma. It's the body's way of coping. Yeah?
Yeah.
And that depression, because depression's a big thing around now, right? Depression's not depression. That's ridiculous. And medicate. I'm not against meds. I need to say straight up, sometimes medication is necessary, right? And if you're on meds, don't go off your meds. Right? However, what about dealing with what you can't express? Depression is not depression, it's suppression. It's
Yes.
what can you not say? And by not saying that, it can create imbalances in the brain. It can. But is it psychosis, a meltdown because of things that are not addressed, or is it a spiritual awakening? So can I explain about my spiritual awakening, what happened to me, Karin?
Absolutely. Would love to hear that.
So as I grew up, I just want to say this story to illustrate the difference between psychosis and awakening, and that fine line that I was talking about.
Yeah.
So as I grew up, I could still see, but I used to keep it to myself, right? I got smart. I knew I was different, but I wasn't going to tell people what I thought anymore because of labels, right? But that didn't mean I necessarily functioned well in the world. Can you imagine when you see things and you're not sure? And I've grown up that way, so I don't know any different. I don't know, like, I think something's wrong with me because my family tells me something's wrong with me. My husband at the time tells me something wrong with me. Well, the doctor told me that I'm crazy on several occasions. So I've always been told all these things. I've been told I've got spells. So I'm thinking I'm this really gloomy, cursed, crazy person, because that's my reality. That's my lived reality. And then 23, I was blessed for Joshua to come into my life. Joshua is my first child.
Yeah.
And I had a miscarriage at 16 weeks. That's a long time to be pregnant. And it wasn't a normal miscarriage. There was a lot happened with this child. When I got home, I could hear him. I knew it was him. I could hear him. I could feel him. I could see him. He was in the house. He was with me.
Wow.
He was real, right? I'm there. I'm crying. She's got postnatal depression. She's gone mad. She's gone into psychosis. And I would be crying, saying, but he's here. He's here. And my mum, God bless her, she said to my then husband, before we lock her up this time, because it was always about we can't manage her, right? Yeah. Can't manage what? Can't manage suppression. But they didn't understand, to be fair to them. They didn't understand either. They just saw someone who wasn't normal, that was like everybody else. She was different. So that I have to give them compassion too. They didn't understand either. My mum goes, do you know what? Let's just do one more spell removal and hopefully this will sort her out. She had her hands in her head. And this gentleman came to my house, right? And I thought, oh my God, here we go again, like another spell removal, you know. But I have to wonder, all these spells that I got removed, were even authentic mediums, right? Were they authentic? Because if they were authentic, they would have helped me when I was growing up.
Yeah.
But we got a real one in this time, right? Blessing. And that's the blessing of Joshua.
Yeah.
Right? And he came and saw I was a mess and spoke to my mum, walked around the house, and then goes to my mum, I need to speak to your daughter privately. Is that okay? Right? I'm there crying my eyes out. My mum goes, you should just take her. Look, this was the last chance. I'll never forget that day.
Mm.
He took my hands, he looked in my eyes, and he goes to me, you're not mad. He said to me, what you see is real.
Mm.
He goes, you have a gift and no one's been able to explain it to you. And he goes, you're exactly like me. He goes, your son's there. It's real. He goes, the difference between you and me is I understand my gift and body it. You don't know yet.
Mm.
And that week, I cried for a week in sheer relief to know that I was normal. Well, not normal, but what was happening to me was part of who I am. There was nothing wrong with me.
Yeah.
I wasn't mad. It was just not understood.
Yeah. Have you met any other people that have psychic gifts that has kind of been in your position, Rose, that you've been helping yourself? I'm just thinking there must be many people before they kind of, I mean, I'm just thinking,
My friends that are psychic, we all
yeah,
talk about our horror stories about growing up.
yeah, yeah.
You know, and some of them will tell me they've had horrific things happen to them, like electric shock. They've
Mm,
been in chains, been locked up in a psych ward. Yeah, I'm blessed. I was only tortured by people around me who didn't understand.
yeah. So you can imagine then someone, I mean, you are very blessed in that way because it could have easily been that they would have put you on strong medication and then your life would have
Yeah,
been very different. Yeah.
different.
Yeah.
And like I'm still like there's still repercussions from that time.
Mm,
But it's okay because I understand now. And this is what I want to say to people. If you're out there and you're suffering and you're listening to this, please
mm,
go and see someone that can help you.
yeah. Yeah.
Don't sit there and suffer in silence. And if it doesn't resonate with you what they're saying to you and you feel it's more, like
Mm,
I was told I was evil. And I used to think, I don't think I'm evil because
mm,
I don't want to kill anyone.
mm,
I don't think I'm evil, but I'm being told I'm evil. Maybe I am evil. But I always used to wonder, right? And they used to tell me, oh, you've got depression. But I used to think, I don't know what depression is, but I don't think I've got depression. I don't
mm,
understand what's going on, right?
yeah.
I couldn't tell people either. If you're not happy with what's being said to you, keep looking till you find the right person. There are
Mm,
mediums and there are mediums. Not everyone is true. I'm sorry. That's our industry. It has no regulation, unfortunately.
mm,
It
mm,
just people just sometimes do a 6 weeks course and think they're qualified and they don't understand,
mm.
that actually as a reader, you have a huge responsibility.
Yeah, and
That are drawn to you.
that's absolutely true because I've come across people myself being around those psychic and well-being expos, and my intuition is very, very strong when it comes to that, and it's like I just see through um, that kind of thing. And what I wanted to say too, Rose, that sometimes too, I feel that people that are not trained properly, they may come up to people and kind of, without asking for permission,
Yeah,
just basically straight away
yeah,
say, oh, there's someone standing there behind you, or
yeah,
did you know this and that? And there's something in me that
yeah.
kind of doesn't feel quite right about that, because
No,
I feel that we need to ask for permission. If someone wants
absolutely.
help,
Yeah,
we ask for it. And if we are, I mean, me as a practitioner too, I just wouldn't come up and all of a sudden give advice to people without that person actually
no,
asking for it. So,
yes. I totally 100% agree. How dare they come into your space without your permission and start telling you? And if you're not happy with the reading, you don't have to pay for it, and you have the right to walk away. If it doesn't feel right, what they're telling you is not right, you should always leave a reading feeling peaceful. Even if they've told you something sad, you should have that sense of hope. Not ever leave if you leave a reading scared, right?
Yeah.
If you leave a reading saying you've been, and I know, how do I know? Because I've had these people come to me crying that they've had a spell put on them, that they've been cursed because they haven't done what the other reader told them. All this bad luck is gonna come on top of them. Stop. Walk away.
Yeah.
Find someone who empowers you, because this is what starts mental health going crazy.
Absolutely.
The fear. Fear.
Yes, and the people that do, as we were saying before, the people that tend to reach out to a psychic or medium or for reading, they are going through, they have trauma in their life and big challenges perhaps. So, it's really important too that they get the right kind of guidance.
Of course.
That's how I feel. Because otherwise it can do more damage than good too, can't it?
Yeah, that can be the most vulnerable people that come that want a reading. I'm not saying everyone's vulnerable, but some people that come are the most vulnerable. And you really need to make sure that who you're going to see can actually support you, so that if something comes up, so I'll be in my medium mode and I'll be talking as a psychic. But if I'm shown a trauma, I will go straight into my counselling hat and say, right, practically, you need to do, and I will say, and as a medium, I can't ever tell people what you must do, right? But if they are in danger, I will give them specific things to action to ensure that they're safe, because I'm responsible. I don't want anyone to leave me afraid. I want them to leave me empowered, and they do. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And that's what I mean by finding someone who knows what they're doing and is experienced.
Yeah, because you are obviously, anytime we deal with any people, we need to make sure that we do it in a correct way. And as you said, it is kind of a funny area of work, shall I say, mediumship. It's like anything that's not, like, how can you really, I'm not saying that it should be regulated, but, like any occupation, there's good or bad, or the ones that are really in the occupation, they really are suitable to be in. And then
I think it should be regulated.
Yeah.
I think it should be regulated.
Okay. Yeah.
I think it should. I think if you're going to work with the public, and have their well-being in your hands, because you can do whatever you want with that person, you need to be at a standard. And unfortunately, there isn't a body that we report to. There's the Australian Psychic Association, but there's wishy-washy guidelines, but anyone can go and be a reader. And I just don't feel that that's acceptable. And 6 weeks card course, and that makes them a reader, and they're charging the same price as someone with experience. This is at Psychic Expos. That's not
absolutely
good ethics. That's not good ethics. And how is it to the well-being of the client?
Yeah, absolutely. And I've obviously had experience particularly through my years running the centre, where I've learned a lot about your industry, which I found really, really interesting, and people coming in running card reading courses. And as you say, people then study for a few weeks, and then they decide that they're going to kind of work as a medium, or they're developing the medium gifts, and then they start seeing people straight away. And I feel that there definitely needs to be, like you have the spiritual counselling and the courses you have, so at least you have the skill to know how to deal with certain issues that can be brought up during a session, which a person that's done a 6-week course obviously would not have at all. So
idea. How do they know if a person's in trauma? How do they know how to deal with a person that's got substance abuse and how to guide them? How are they going to know? They're going to say something to them possibly that will unground them more. How do they hold space for that? Or if someone comes with, that wit's end and they've got suicidal tendencies, you might be their last port of call. How do you deal with that if you don't have the experience or the training, which is why I did my training, to hold that person in the highest regard, to bring forth what's next? Not about you and how wonderful you are and what you can do, but what you can offer to support this person going through transition. And everyone that comes to a reader is going to be going through some kind of transition. I'm telling you extreme cases, but those cases are there. They happen.
Yeah, that's right. One thing that I wanted to ask you too, Rose, is on a daily basis, you said when you tap into like switching off from having that opening yourself up to everything and then closing off and existing in this, our normal human world. Is there a way you can kind of, sometimes you're really open to seeing everything around you and other times you kind of protect yourself and close it off? Can you do that? Is there some kind of magic switch that you...
I think it's about training and perspective.
Okay.
I never completely close. I always, that's my life and I don't want it any other way. But I can tell you there are days when I've been lost in that other world. This is where balance is important. And this is why I can do what I do, is that I've had a day like a few weeks ago. Oh my gosh. And then like if a psychiatrist were to hear this, he'd say you're mad. But I had a day with Merlin, right? Because I have a labyrinth in my backyard. A labyrinth is a sacred symbol that you walk around to meditate in. And Merlin's part of that magic, right? I had a day with Merlin. It was wonderful. So I had all this insight about the labyrinth, how to work with the labyrinth, the magic of the world. I was just in this beautiful, I call it my utopia.
Yeah.
And, after a day like that, I can't stay in that space because I've got bills to pay. I've got to function as a human, right? I need to ground. What do I need to do? I need to walk on the wet grass, like I said to you before. I need to touch people. I need to go hug someone, not a tree, because a tree is going to take me back to Merlin. I need to hug a person, I need to have that conversation. I need to eat something and taste it. Really taste it, so that I am in the here and the now. I need to do something like pay a bill so that I am in the here and the now. So I'm always looking to balance.
Okay.
I'm always looking to enjoy my humanness, which is chocolate. There's no chocolate in here.
I was just going to say, Rose, I'm sitting here thinking about all the yummy food that I must now.
What is it that makes us human? It's our relationships. It's our contact with each other. It's physical touch, because none of that in the other realm. It's a sense of being. And we actually, if we know how to meditate well, and we come into stillness where we lose sense of our bodies. And this is important because if you don't come back into your body, this starts mental health issues, right? We experience that beautiful space of bliss, right? That's just the snippet of the truth of who you really are, right? You can't stay in that space because it doesn't work. That's why people have accidents. That's why people go crazy. That's not balanced. So being on the earth plane is to know that you are spirit, but to live in the human realm doing human things, which means falling in love, breaking up, kisses, cuddles, all of that.
Yeah.
Good things I'm going to say. Good things. Chocolate, hugs, laughing,
Yeah.
laughing, and joy. That's our
Yeah.
humanness,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because like they talk about, it's it is eternal bliss, and it's love, and nothing can take from that. But it's not like laughing. It's not like having a good belly laugh with your friend. That's a human experience.
Yeah.
And we think our life here, oh my God, it's so long. The days are so long. But if you look at a life of no beginning, no end, you're actually on the earth realm for 1 second. It might be 100 years. 1 second,
Yeah.
eternity. So you need to make the most of this life and find reverence that, wow, you've chosen to be here. Why? To remember joy and feeling and chocolate and ice cream and the good stuff, hugs.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I was going to say about food. Now, when I know that I may not be eating
No.
when I leave this earth in my human body, I'm going to make the most out of all the yummy food here, Rose.
Yeah, I would say enjoy your humanness. That's how I find my balance. That's what brings me down. I go, right, what am I going to do today to feel like everybody else? What am I going to do? Because I don't. But I spend a lot of time in prayer and meditation. That doesn't mean I sit there and but I'm in my mindfulness, I'm mindfulness. I'm very aware.
Yeah.
I know my programming. The awareness is there. So I don't just need to switch off and go, like, just go for a walk and talk to a stranger, smile at a stranger, go and get an ice cream or something I really love, just to get that balance.
Absolutely.
Because that is so important on this journey, on a spiritual journey, is to have your balance so that you can walk in both worlds and enjoy it, not be in depression or suppression or psychosis. Actually be in the joy of who you are and know how to flip from one to the other.
And being really connected to the body, I feel, is really important, because that's where it starts, because the body will really reflect a lot of things that is going on. If that is, anything really, any pain, any trauma, anything will manifest in the body. But if we are very disconnected to our body, then that's not going to work very well in our humanness, is it?
No, this is your temple. This is your car. This is your car. Your soul is you who's driving the car, but you're not always conscious of that soul. Most people are in automatic pilot, not aware. So
and a lot of people
look after it.
Yeah, and a lot of people, I feel, associate who they are with their body, which I often say, I'm not my body. I'm looking, I can kind of look from up here at myself going, that's my body, but it's not me.
Yeah.
That's not me.
Yeah. But we identify, like people will say to someone, well, who are you? They go, well, my name is, and I'm a mother or a father, a sister, brother, lover, a daughter or son, or on my job. A lot of people identify with themselves as their job, what they look like, their appearance. That's nothing. That's a shell.
I think it's really irrelevant. And I know sometimes my spirit kind of doesn't really like when someone asks, what do you do, Karin? And I feel my spirit kind of quenches a little bit and go, well, I do this, but it's not me. That's kind of, my spirit always talks to me that way. And I have always been very against labeling. because I think, I mean, I just don't like it, because I think that's not, it's how we describe something, but it's not who I am or who that person is. So don't mistake that just because they do that. That's not who they are.
But that's, again, it goes back to society and culture. Like we all identify with, you know, our gender or our religion or our culture. But I just want to raise the awareness that that's who we identify with, which is fine and needs to be respected because we're on the earth realm, but that's not who you are. If you knew who you truly were, which is a being of infinite light and love, eternal being with no beginning, no end, how would you present yourself in this world today? What choices would you make? How different would your world be? I just want to plant that seed to anyone who's listening to this, that there is more, so much more than what we see. And this morning I was listening to a guru, and he said there's no price on who you are, and then therefore it's not valued. For example, we take air for granted. But we all need air to breathe. If we didn't have air, we couldn't breathe. We wouldn't be alive. But we take it for granted. Same with our spiritual self. Because it's not contained and it's not got a price on it. Oh, it's there and I'll get round to meditating. I'll get round to listening to my intuition. It's not valued. And that's a reflection of our society and the world that's present now, which is why we are in the middle of rebirth, because we need to reconnect to who we truly are, not ignoring our physical, but not being judgment of labels. I always say to people who come to me, like they say to you, oh, how can you say you love me? You don't even know me. Excuse me, if you're truly my brother or my sister, would I not want to give you the best of who I am? It's not a competition. It's a perspective. Where do you dwell? If we're all truly connected, why is there division?
Absolutely.
There's no need for division. There's no need for better than, worse than. We're all the same. And I can certainly tell you, from all the thousands of people that I've been for, we may come in different shapes and different sizes, different problems, different color of skin, different gender identification. Guess what the bottom line is? We're all missing love and joy. That's it. Bottom line, if you go down all the layers, what's the root cause? Is love of self and connection with others.
And that is so, so important. And I think we all need to be reminded about that. Like you say, we are light and love. So, and make sure we do acknowledge and nurture that we are way more than our humanness here on earth. And we look after all of us. I think that's so important. It's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you, Rose. And I do feel that we can talk for hours and hours. And I feel that we need to set another time to talk about perhaps ascension and what's going on in the transition in the world at the moment, and perhaps how we can assist people during this time. What do you reckon?
I would be very honoured to have that conversation with you. Yeah.
All right. But for now, I'd like to thank you. Lots of love to you. I do love you, Rose. You know that.
Me too.
You are a beautiful being. And I thank everyone that have joined in and have stayed right to the end here. If you want to connect with either of us, Rose or myself, you can reach out for sure. The details will be in the podcast or in the wherever you see this video or podcast. So thank you again, Rose, and thanks
Blessings everyone.
Blessings, everyone. And I look forward to connecting with you all again soon again. Bye.
Thanks, Karin.